marginalized populations. But the moment that their bottom line is impacted, they're like, whoa, 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 whoa. It's not like that. It's not like that. What's happening? I don't understand why he does this. Can you explain it to me? I'm dumb, lol. I think that there are two reasons why Donald Trump wants to do this. One, because Donald Trump wants to utilize the tariffs as a mechanism of pressure for sectors and industry leaders to basically kiss the ring. You kiss the ring, you don't get hit with tariffs. Because remember, for those of you who still don't understand this, because I've talked about it a million times over, tariffs don't actually work in the way that Trump claims it does, right? Tariffs don't actually work in the way that, maybe to your surprise, the Republican Party has claimed it works. You're not actually putting a tariff on the country, right? You're not putting a tariff on like China, and China is paying for the price of said tariff. The tariff is an entry fee. So it's not actually the Chinese companies that are paying for the tariff. It's actually the American companies that are tasked with importing the goods that are paying the tariff at the point of entry. That's it. So it's actually American manufacturers that will now get a more costly good overall. Because if, let's say, you're getting your t-shirts shipped from China, right? Your garments, you're a garment producer, or the raw materials necessary to produce garments in the United States of America. Let's say you're getting that from China. Now there's a 10% tariff on all Chinese goods, which means you have to pay a 10% entry fee on everything that you purchase, which means automatically the garment manufacturing goods are now 10% more expensive. So when your garment, when you're selling your wares to a factory that is tasked with making t-shirts, at the point of purchase, that second company is basically buying a 10% more expensive product. If a bulk purchase of t-shirts was $100, now it's going to be $110. And when that happens, and that t-shirt manufacturer takes $110 worth of t-shirts now that previously was $100, they are going to increase the price of all of the t-shirts that they're making so that they can carry the cost over to the consumer. So now the product, like the cost of the good necessary to make this product is increased. The cost of the product is increased overall. And every step of the way, from the point of the merchandise, the point of the goods entering the United States, all the way to the point of the consumer purchasing it at a store, the cost of that t-shirt increases every step along the way. And you, as a consumer, end up paying the price. The money made by the tariffs, the additional money, goes to the federal government. Now they have extra money that they can work with. And you, the consumer, are technically subsidizing that money. This is the reason why tariffs can be seen as a federal sales tax. There's also almost always retaliatory tariffs from the other country. And for the record, when tariffs do happen, if there is no competitive domestic manufacturing, of course, trade of that sort of commodity, or all commodities, if all commodities are tariffed, will actually decrease because people will seek out cheaper alternatives. So they will move in the direction of like Vietnam, for example, or another manufacturing hub that isn't China, that will still make the same or similar products without the additional cost associated with it. Now, of course, changing your manufacturing to a different country is an arduous and relatively costly process. So that in and of itself will also yield more expensive goods at the point of purchase. So there's also that issue in the interim. And the retaliatory tariffs, on the other hand, will also yield the same exact results. China will engage in retaliatory tariffs like they did with soybean, right? That's what they did when Donald Trump, in his first administration, engaged in tariffs on steel from China. And China said, okay, we're putting a tariff on soybean. This ends up harming the American manufacturers because now the Chinese government is looking for alternatives to purchase soybeans from. So they're not going to get it from America. They're going to get it from elsewhere. And at the end of that process, it ends up harming the American manufacturers. And I say this, I criticize all of this for the record, while also maintaining the position that tariffs on particular goods is not necessarily a bad thing. While on the one hand, I want a BYD car, I wish that American manufacturing was interested in making competitive electric vehicles. So while we do actually maintain some understandable trade isolationist policies when it comes to car manufacturing, for example, in an effort to preserve and protect our manufacturing sector and automobile manufacturing, the American manufacturers are also not using this as an opportunity to create better products overall, but instead products that hyper-focus on avoiding CAFE standards and building larger and larger tank-like structures in a country where the Ford F-150 is the most popular vehicle. I consider that to be an annoying nuisance, while still maintaining the position that I understand why there's a necessity for some tariffs on some goods. Why? Because the automobile industry in the United States of America is a competent and competitive manufacturing force that already exists. Now it's in a state of disrepair. It's been crippled. It's profit seeking has truly eviscerated this sector as well, just like every other sector, but it still exists. And there are thousands of American laborers, union laborers, good union jobs that are readily available at the assembly line. Ironically enough, tariffs even impact those guys, at least these tariffs that we're talking about. You might say, Hassan, why? They're making the cars in America. That's an F-150, baby. How do tariffs actually impact American manufacturing, even the auto industry? Great question, Hassan. Let me answer, Hassan. A lot of the cars and their parts that are being manufactured, or at least being assembled on assembly plants in the United States of America, are actually being manufactured in Canada and, more importantly than Canada, Mexico. So when these tariffs are placed upon Mexico and Canada, as Trump has claimed he's going to do, as he's signed into law as of today, what ends up happening is the engines that are being made in Mexico are going to be more costly. The parts within the manufacturing are going to be costly, which will then increase the cost of goods that are being domestically produced, because they're being domestically assembled, but they're still being produced, or at least parts of them are still being produced globally. This is the reality of global trade. This is something that is impossible to avoid. We have designed society in a way where we're maxing out, I guess not necessarily efficiency, but we've designed society in a way where we max out profits. And therefore, goods that even are assembled or manufactured in the United States of America will end up seeing massive cost increases and supply shortages, especially in the interim period, because a lot of these cars are still very much having their parts manufactured in Mexico. So even if you need a part to fix your car, going to be more costly for you. Yeah, the auto supply chain between Canada and the U.S. are extremely integrated. There's some stat that says parts cross the border 8 times prior to final manufacturing. The tariffs are horrible for everyone but the oligarchs. What is this world of statistics? In the United States, 54% of adults have a literacy below a 6th grade level, 20% are below 5th grade level, and 21% are illiterate. What? That is not good, dude. Holy shit. We're going to reach a new record, baby. This is where they get their news. Oh, yeah.
What are you going to do?
Yeah, I saw this. Newsmax host taunts people complaining about migrant deportations of Latinos by eating a taco on air.
Will you come take it out of my ham? I'm going to eat half this plate during the break. Maybe I'll call the ICE hotline. I don't know if I'll have enough time. Sure. All kidding aside, it was actually really good taco. These people broke the law. They broke the law to get here.
I can't say what I think should happen to this person because I would get banned. And it would make some of my most vocal haters very elated, very excited. But you can't stop me from thinking it, at least until the Neuralink chips kick in. Did you see Bryce Mitchell's comments on Hitler? I did. I saw an article talking about it. I didn't see everything, but it is yet another indication that things are getting weird. Things are getting very weird and very Hitlerian. But like, it's not that weird that a brain-broken UFC fighter would have insane and horrifying takes like this. It only happens because these guys feel emboldened, though. I mean, that's it. I think the reason why more people feel like comfortable coming out with attitudes like this is because of feeling emboldened by the likes of, you know, Elon Musk and everybody else. Even Dana White coming out against it, you know, it was bad. Yeah, no sh. Isn't there the guy who called out Elon like a week ago before this, that Elon's a rat and should share his wealth? Oh, this is that same guy? Yeah, I remember looking into it because I remember hearing him like talk about Elon Musk at a press conference, and immediately I was like, wait a minute, this dude is like, I mean, he's spitting here, but let me look into it a little bit, and I think he's like an anti-vaxxer and shit too. He's like excuse me, elaborate, you can't say that and move on. This is the guy who's like, I'm having a child because I want to improve the birth rates, right? That's the guy, right? We've watched a video of him wearing goofy ass glasses talking about how he's gonna homeschool his child. He said he's gonna homeschool his child and that his child is not gonna be vaccinated. Bryce Mitchell, a couple weeks prior, has this take, and this is actually a decent take. Let's take a look at what he had to say.
Critical of Elon Musk, how do you feel about his involvement with the Doge?
Well, I think that time will prove me correct. Time will always reveal someone's true character, and if you put that man in a position of power, his true character will be revealed. And let's just put it this way. He has all the money in his country. He's the wealthiest man in the country, and he wasted on rockets, man. Think about it, dude. He could actually help people with that.
What's crazy about this is that, like, shitting on Elon Musk is always A-okay in my book. Ironically enough, he's shitting on Elon Musk in the absolute worst way possible, even though this is a very commonplace critique. I would go so far as to say that SpaceX is probably one of the only good things that is directly associated with Elon Musk. I don't have an issue with space travel. I think that space travel yields tremendous amounts of innovation, and I understand why people are like, well, why are we going to space? Why are we going to space or spending so much money on space when there's like problems down here? I do understand that sentiment, make no mistake, but I don't think that like we should be curbing back scientific achievements, and things like SpaceX should not be privatized, but instead it should be nationally funded, NASA.
But he don't give a shit about you. He's got all the money in the world to help you. He'll be a penny to him, and you would never have to work again. He don't give a shit about you, though. He wants to waste it on rockets and waste it on all these cars that suck. And time will reveal the character of that man. And the more he gets under the spotlight, you can't fake it forever. His character will be revealed, and you mark my words, it will be seen that he is a rat bastard.
Just let him talk about Hitler before you give him his flowers? No, I'm not giving him his flowers. I'm giving you context. I'm giving you context because, oh, he seems based. Oh my God, except nope, not at all. Even a right-wing moron can recognize that Elon Musk is fraudulent. But that right-wing moron also happens to say this yesterday. Let's take a look.
Hitler, hell in the Nazis. I really don't think that he was, because I honestly think that Hitler was a good guy based upon my own research, not my public education.
Dude. Amazing. In 12 seconds, he said, I think Hitler was a good guy, and then immediately said, based on my own research. Amazing. Not public education, my own research. I love when dudes do their own research. You understand me? I love it. I did my own dang research. That's why I'm not vaccinating my child. That's why I'm homeschooling my child to teach him the glories of Hitler. And also on top of that, that's why
The lead is on.
I put a drill on my ball sack. I am what they call an autodidact. Self-taught.
Indoctrination. I really do think before Hitler got on meth, he was a guy to go fishing with.
He's saying Hitler wasn't just a bad guy, but also on top of that, he was a cool guy, a guy to go fishing with. That is insane. What is he saying? Brother, what? My fishing buddy, Adolf. You might know him from his comical mustache. I know him as the guy who knows how to catch yellowtail. You don't understand. It's the meth that ruined Hitler. I like Hitler, the original. Yeah, I call him Adolf Fischler. Very cool. That's awesome.
He was a guy to go fishing with. He fought for his country. He wanted to purify it by kicking the greedy Jews out that were destroying his country and turning them all into gays. They were gaying out.
Okay. Yeah, he's showing his work. He's done his research, guys. Wait, so what doesn't he like about Hitler that meth ruined him on? Was it consistently moving eastbound? Yeah, he's like he shouldn't have opened up a new front. Okay, let me tell you about Adolf. Meth is the reason why he did it. The second front shouldn't have done that. No more new fronts, I say. Without meth, Adolf, good guy. Good guy. This guy's research was reading Mein Kampf? No. I think his research is just simply reading comments. I don't think he reads too much. Look, I'm sorry. I don't think he reads in general. I don't know if he's capable of reading. I think he saw memes on Twitter. I think that's unironically what happened here, because this is CTE in real time. I think this is the first time I got CTE by hearing someone speak. So truly a unique space that we exist in now, where I'm getting audio-induced CTE. He saw an AI picture of Adolf Fischler holding up a yellowtail, and he thought to himself, good guy, loves his fish, loves fishing. Also, wasn't Hitler like vegetarian or some? This makes it. Hitler was pescatarian. A lot of people say he was vegan. That's wrong. I did my research. He's actually pescatarian. He definitely went to town. He genocided them fish. Let me tell you. Okay. Oh my God. He loved fishing, okay? He was not vegan. He was pescatarian. You understand me? He had no problems fishing. Let me tell you, boy, he loved fishing. That boy Adolf.
Kids, they were queering out the women. They were queering out the dudes. They were, you know what her first training surgery ever was? Happened to be in Germany before Hitler took over. You know the books that everybody makes fun of Hitler burning? You know what the books was? Queer books.
I mean, okay, this part is not wrong. It's just that the energy he has for it, I take issue with, let's just say. It's just that I don't associate that with a positive. He does. He's saying it's good. He supports it.
Hitler burned queer books because Hitler didn't want a bunch of queers destroying his nation. They can't produce children.
Dude, it's also funny because, like, this is literally the argument that Nazis were making. Jews have infiltrated the halls of intelligentsia and are spreading moral degeneracy both in the arts and specifically in college campuses. Now, if that kind of sentiment seems familiar to you, and dare I say, make you a little uncomfortable, understand that it is, yes, you're right. Your suspicions are correct. It is identical to what Republicans say today. Just, you know, a little bit of tweaking. That is what it is. Nazis, early fascist commentary surrounding this was that Western civilization, German civilization, was superior to all else, to all others, and that Jews were the enemy from within that had actually taken over academia and were making Germans gay. Socialist Jews were doing woke in academia in a deliberate effort to undermine superior Western civilization. They never say why that's bad. Yeah, they just simply say being gay is morally degenerate and wrong, and that's what the Jews are up to. Like, basically, that's what they say. It is pretty crazy because it's damn near identical. So let's look at some of the funniest things that Bryce Mitchell has done, starting with the most insane one. UFC fighter Bryce Mitchell details gruesome groin injury suffered in power drill accident. Pro tip, do not stick power drills in your pocket. Mitchell took to social media to share an unexpected update on his medical status on Tuesday, and boy, oh boy, was it ever horrifying. The 23-year-old was apparently doing some woodwork this week when the power drill he had in his pocket accidentally turned on, doing quite a lot of damage to his testicular region in the process. I'm gonna be out for a little bit, says Bryce Mitchell. So I was gonna train today, but I ripped my nutsack in half. I'm about to get stitched up. I was holding the board over my head with a drill in my pants. I was sizing up the board and the drill went off and tangled my nuts up in it. I dropped the board and reversed the drill and untangled my nutsack, but they was ripped in half. I'm serious too, lol. I obviously can't post a pic, but when my nuts are sealed back up, I'ma come train again. I think a high kick would re-rip them, ha. And if I hear any shitty puns about how this whole thing is nutty or screwed up, I ain't talked to you for about a month. If you're gonna drop a pun to make fun of me, at least put some thought into it. P-H-O-T. Into it. Lol. He did apparently upload a very disgusting photo of his blood-soaked boxer shorts in the aftermath. Mitchell, who is 10-0 in the UFC, will obviously be out of commission for a little while. He needs some time to allow his beanbag to recover. Why is CBS Sports writing this? This CBS article is written like a Barstool article. I don't know what's happening. Let's start off light. Here's the time on Ultimate Fighter that Bryce Mitchell uncovered a revelation about soap.
Using soap, so that was a new experience.
They got me on soap. I didn't.
What?
Didn't believe in it. I didn't really believe in it before, you know? And then
He didn't believe in soap before. Prior to his recent fight against Kron Gracie, Bryce Mitchell revealed he doesn't believe in the use of seatbelts.
What's your issue with seatbelts?
seatbelts, I think it's just like you get to choose if you want to wear a seatbelt. The government doesn't, you know, they don't wipe my ass for me and they don't.
Oh. This guy's the dumbest person on the planet. Congratulations. Holy shit. You've achieved it. I mean, being a UFC fighter is a little on the nose, but congratulations on being probably the dumbest motherfucker on the planet. Get in a car accident, bro. Without your seatbelt on, go flying through the windshield, scrape down the street. I'm sure your kid won't be in the seatbelt either, so you'll be right next to him, fucking sliding down the street on your face. Fucking moron.
They shouldn't be able to tell me if I want to wear a seatbelt. I personally don't like them because I think, what if you got to jump out of the car and roll, you know, duck and roll? And nobody ever thinks about that. So I don't personally.
Yeah, nobody ever thinks about that because why the would they think about that, dude? First of all, if you're in a situation where you have to stop, duck, and roll out of a car, you probably need a seatbelt to survive the situation that caused you to, you know, stop, drop, and roll out of a car. Because you're not going to have to worry about dropping and rolling if you don't have a seatbelt on, because guess what? You're cooked. You're already dead. Your brain is plastered all over the windshield at that point.
Wear a seatbelt, but I grew up, my mom never wore one. I just don't believe in them.
Yeah, when she was pregnant.
Mama never wore no
With me.
seatbelt.
As she told me, that's why I am famously the way I am. That's why I got a hard head, as my mama told me, the hardest of head. That's why when I get kicked in the head, I don't feel nothing.
It's not up to the government to decide if I should wear a seatbelt or not. So that's just my view on it. That's why I don't wear them. But maybe, you know, I strap my baby in, you know, I strap Tucker in, but I just don't like wearing them. I like the maneuverability.
Bryce outlines his belief in the flat earth. Oh, I remember this one as well. His beliefs in the flat earth and makes an impassioned call for other Christians to see the sense.
If me and you were equally fast.
It's just crazy to me because it's like, pick a struggle, man. You're making chat dumber. Yes, you're right. I am doing that, I think.
Side of the track, who wins that race? You. Because I'm on the inside. Sure. Because you know, the further you go out from the center of that circle, the more distance you have to travel to complete a circle.
Dude, this is really funny, dude. The music in the background. This is the truth music. When you hear these sounds, you know you're about to hear some truths, okay? Some cold, hard truths. On the Patrick Bet David.
Circle. So what I'm telling you is when that helicopter goes up to 20,000 feet and it's sitting there hovering for 4 hours, not only does it have to spin 1,000 miles an hour, it has to spin more than 1,000 miles an hour to go back to the same spot that it landed. Because now the Earth would be not attached to that helicopter, and so it's in a different type of rotation. It has to cover more distance to land in the same spot. You see what I'm saying? But how come I can get a helicopter and land in the same damn spot no matter how long I hover? Because the Earth don't move, just like the Bible says. Wake up, Christians.
Dude, this is so stupid. This is so insanely stupid that it reads as a hilarious joke. Like, it reads as a bit because of how stupid it is. The helicopter land in the same spot because the Earth don't move. When I first saw this video, I thought it was parody. Nope, not parody at all, man. Dude, the argument is amazing because it's like, when I jump on a plane, I land in the same spot. The plane's not moving. Wake up, liftards! Plane's not real. That's right. Earth is flat, and the planes ain't real. Your actually teleporting to the next destination that you're going to, but they make it seem like you're actually flying for 12 hours in the air. Guess what? I tried it. I got on the dang plane. I jumped up, stayed in the same dang place. You're gonna look real stupid once God shows you how the earth is flat. No such thing as gravity. That's a libtard invention. An invention of the liberal Jews. So is inertia. Inertia. Inertiate. Stop reading books. Unless it's the Bible. Here's Bryce Mitchell detailing the time he drilled his nutsack apart, drove himself to the hospital, but stopped mid-journey to show a random FedEx driver his mutilated nutsack. We already covered this part, but you got to see it again in his own words.
To Bryce Mitchell, who is there living his best life. Outdoors, I almost thought that he'd be in a hospital right now, but no, he's outdoors just living the dream. Bryce, how are you?
Oh, I'm great, man. Can you hear me very well?
I can hear you great. Can you hear me?
Pretty good. Pretty good.
So when you say that you put the drill in your pants, like not in your pocket, like you put it like in here, like where your like belt would be, and it fell in?
Yeah, I just put the drill bit like dangling right by my genitals. Like just put it in just like you would a gun, almost like a gangster.
Yeah.
Gun. I had my drill tucked, thinking I was gangster, and then my nuts got drilled up.
This is why Ariel Helwani is the best UFC reporter, best mixed martial arts reporter out there, because that was the question on everybody's minds. How did the drill go from maybe your pocket to your genitals? Because that's the question I had, and it turns out it was because he stuck it into his pants, just like you would a gun, which is also hilarious. Because this implies that he, could also shoot his dick off as well. Because I don't think this is a man who learns lessons, let alone has object permanence. So I'm expecting him to also have a similar circumstance in the future where he puts a gun in his pockets and it accidentally discharges. This is the bro who's literally too stupid to work in construction. Yeah, I mean, to be fair, he found his calling. He found his calling. This is it. This is the one thing that's like perfect for him. This is the thing that is perfect for him. Getting kicked in the fucking head for a living. I find this to be an incredible story. I'm also personally shocked that this guy would also be a committed supporter of Adolf Hitler. Here he is also oh my God, I made a joke earlier about how gravity is not real. Oh, here it is.
Gravity ain't real. There ain't no such thing as gravity. It's Freemason symbolism. It's all bullshit. There's no such thing as gravity. Why does a rock fall in the water? Because of gravity? Don't you bullshit me. Why does a rock fall in the water?
Gravity ain't real, man. Hey, man. Hey, man. Hey, man. Hey, man. Hey. Gravity? That's bullshit, brother.
We lost B.
Gravity? Ain't real. Gravity's some bullshit, my friend. Jesus says. Thank you.
What's the word for it? Come on. Yes! Density's why things fall. Things don't fall because of gravity.
I don't know what to say about this. I truly am at a loss for words because what he's saying is so incredibly stupid that it unironically reads as a brilliant parody
Einstein.
of a very stupid conservative person. There's more. We mustn't forget the time Bryce cited himself as an academic source when discussing how 9/11 was an inside job.
16, that's when the biggest revelation, besides Jesus Christ, that I've ever had happened to me. When I was 16 years old, based upon my own research, because I am a source of information, even though they don't let you cite yourself. I am a valid source of information, and I don't do no bullshit. I tell the truth, and if I don't know it's true,
Cites himself.
I'm telling you, I know. And I knew when I was 16 that our government orchestrated 9/11 and brought them towers down. I know our government, white people, white rich politicians, not brown people with box cutters. I'm telling you, white people brought down them twin towers. I was 16. That's when the biggest
Incredible. Somewhat counter to this, Bryce explains the serious precautions he takes to prepare for an attempted terrorist takeover in any flight that he takes. Oh my God, that haircut. Oh my God, he's looking like me yesterday. Oh my God.
Why I wear my boots on a plane?
Hostile
Hold on, let me
RCXD in
think for
your
a second.
area.
Nuh-uh.
Right when I get on, I'm looking for terrorists.
Really?
Always is.
Dude, what the... Right when I get on, I'm looking for terrorists.
Assume there's about 4 of them.
Yeah.
You know, and if there's 4 of them, you know how they operate, right? There's going to be 2 sleepers. So I'm looking for the 4 ones that are going to pop up. Those are the motherfuckers I'm dropping first. You know what I'm saying? And the most that can attack you, even if there's 4 of them on a plane, only 2 can attack you. 1 in the front, 1 in the back. I got a pair of boots. I'm going boom right to the nuts.
Right to the,
you know what I'm saying? Boom right to the nuts. Boom, boom. Turn around, taking out another one.
Another hallmark of the moron. But I'm the hero, based on, as I said so. I would have killed all of them. Ninja spin kicked them, and then I kicked my boots. I'll get my shit kickers, bro, and I'll kick some shit, man. You know what I'm saying? Come on.
When I'm gonna start stomping on their heads and shit. And then I'm looking for the sleepers.
Oh, yeah.
So
the sleepers is it, but how many more do you think that they would have?
at least 2 sleepers, if they know what they're doing. If not, there's some rookies. I'm gonna f them up anyway.
Yeah, if not, this is Bush League terrorism.
Oh, not to be that friend that's too woke, but I know plenty of kind, intelligent people at my MMA gym. It's not all brain damaged child. TT is a risk for all of us, of course, but we come into the sport with different levels of intelligence and a lot of passion for martial arts. No, you're not being the friend that's too woke. I completely recognize that. And also, this person's brain is not the way that it is because of CTE.
Taking Bravo underway.
Oh yeah, dude. If you have leukemia as a child, well, you should have thought about perhaps not having it. Thanks, man. Thanks, dude. That's sick. That's sick. That's sick. I can't wait for Republicans to fucking cry about like people making fun of RFK's voice, by the way. That's definitely coming.
We have no shortage of challenges to confront, and I even agree with some of the diagnosis of Mr. Kennedy. What is so disturbing to me is that out of 330 million Americans, we're being asked to put somebody in this job who has spent 50 years of his life not honoring the tradition that he talked about at the beginning of this conversation, but peddling in half-truths, peddling in false statements, peddling in theories that, you know, create doubt about whether or not things that we know are safe are unsafe. Not that every vaccine in America is unsafe, not that you can't possibly have an adverse reaction, but that parents and children in my old school district and school districts all over this country would be better off not getting vaccinated than getting vaccinated. Unlike his own children who were vaccinated, unlike the people he invited to his house in Los Angeles for their party who were vaccinated. For everybody else, it's about peddling these half-truths. And he says it with such conviction that you want to believe him. And Mr. Kennedy, I just have there are many, many things in the record, but I hope that you could answer these questions, yes or no. I've tried.
Let me see if this works better. Did this do anything? No. I feel like this didn't do shit. I'm trying to see if the lighting is a little bit better this way, but doesn't feel like it. Yo, you peeps over the pond need to put a stop to this. No amount of sitting around and whining. I know, but maybe this way. The Republicans tied America to the tracks. Close curtains if possible. No, I'm not going to close curtains. I don't want to. It's shitty. Canadian tuxedo goes crazy. It's not a Canadian tuxedo. All right. Yeah, we're now talking about RFK Jr. with his ridiculous Senate confirmation hearing. Just when you thought you've seen it all, Trump is playing tennis with Serena Williams barefoot in full suit. What? What the what?
Trump volleyed with Serena Williams. And Donald Trump is always where the cameras are when it involves making money. And today at Lowe's Island in Sterling, Virginia, he opened the Tennis Performance Center. Trump.
When is this from? This is gotta be an old video, but like where and when? Gotta be AI? Nah, it's probably super old.
Volleyed with Serena Williams, shoes off, coat on. Donald Trump showing he's got some game. Some, little. It's.
Can I call you Hassan in my college essay, Mr. Piker? What? Yeah, okay. Yes. You have my permission. I don't understand. No, call him Papa. No, you can call me Hassan. Interesting. I didn't know that was a real thing.
Sam Cedar, Emma Vigeland, Majority Report. Want to welcome back to the program Crystal Ball, co-host of Crystal, Kyle, and Friends, and of course Breaking Points. Crystal, it's been, I guess 4 days now, and 3 days. I don't know how you want to measure this, 3 or 4 days. It feels like it's been a month already. First thoughts on the new Trump administration?
I mean, I don't think this is a surprise to you guys, and it's certainly not a surprise to me, but he certainly confirmed in the first days that he's going to take the most maximalist, lawless approach that he possibly can. And I think it's a couple of the key indicators there are the blanket pardons, even of violent J6ers who assaulted police officers. Wildly unpopular. His own vice president was like, of course, violent ones should be in prison. So the fact that he did the blanket pardon with, a few commutations, I think that was an extraordinary marker. I think the executive order to quote unquote end birthright citizenship, which of course has already been tossed by a federal court. I think that's another marker of the maximalist approach. And then the third, you could pick many others besides, but the other one that has been just incredibly distressing and blackmailing to me was 2 days before inauguration, him launching his own shitcoin, making tens of billions of dollars off of his own supporters through just a brazen Ponzi pyramid scheme, and now exploring a digital asset reserve, which just means like using public resources and taxpayer funds to buy his own shitcoin, not to mention pump up the massive net worths of his, giant donors and oligarch friends. So yeah, there are no brakes on this car. Any of the previous minimal resistance that existed, whether from the opposition party, the Democrats, or from within his own party, people like the Jeff Flakes of the world. Obviously, the Supreme Court is very conservative now. But, he's been given blanket immunity as well. He doesn't have to face the voters again, most likely, we pray. So I don't know what is going to hold him back from doing whatever the hell he wants to do and whatever the hell Elon Musk and all the other broligarchs want to do as well.
Broligarchs is good. I'm going to steal that one.
The broligarchs?
Yeah.
I like that too.
I don't know who coined that, but it was not me. But I know, it's been floating around. I think it's a pretty good term.
Yeah.
We had Jacob Silverman on this week too. I couldn't. It just was impossible for me to wrap my head around the whole meme coin thing. And I say this as someone who collected baseball cards, who collected coin, every nerdy coins and all sorts of things that don't necessarily have an intrinsic more valuable than another, but the meme coin thing is really impressive. You are really just packaging air and branding air. And
it's speculation for the sake of speculation, which feels like a way bigger section of our economy than is sustainable.
But yeah,
go ahead.
I was just gonna say, I think all of crypto is fake and a scam, but at least with Bitcoin, there was it's a new technology and you can use it one thing you can use it for is evading sanctions. Okay, that's an actual use that we can, wrap our hands around. Money laundering. Okay.
Untraceable contracts on people if you want to have someone taken out.
At least it's a real world use, right? Yep. With these, there's not even a pretense. It's just pure, brazen, upward transfer of wealth, extraction, fraud, and everyone's just this is fine, this is legal. It's insane to me. I genuinely that's the thing that I think about, that I'm how does a society even recover from greenlighting this level of just mass sanctioned fraud by elites? How do you come back from that? We are in such a late stage of capitalism that I can't even wrap my head around. So that one really threw me for a loop too, Sam.
Yeah, and I think the whole project really does seem to be, and I mean this in like sort of the broadest sense, and I don't think we've seen this, not in my lifetime anyways. Everything is geared towards extracting existing value that exists within our society. It is set to extract money from people, whether, maybe in return, some of these people will get a sneaker worth, a fraction of what it was. But it's extracting money that way. It is essentially all of the the attacks on the administrative state is about extracting more from society in the form of more cancers, in the form of more food-borne illnesses, in the form of, worker safety, whatever it is, and it all going to a sort of like increasingly narrow group of corporate benefactors, essentially. Like, all of this is just full-on extraction. Even his tariff stuff is really just going to be leveraged for it to get kickbacks. I mean, this is like a full-on... The mafia has moved into the neighborhood, and everybody's going to pay some form of protection money. And if the sporting goods shop needs a loan, we'll get a loan. But we're just going to be sucking stuff out of your company until it just dies. It's all a leverage buyout, it feels like.
Yeah, no, I think that's exactly right. And, it's the levels of preposterousness, if that's a word, just boggle the mind, because at the same time you have this mass hardcore immigration crackdown, which is allegedly about, protecting people's jobs and making sure American workers are okay. At the same time, you're inviting Sam Altman and all these other AI tech barons to the White House to announce this big theoretical $500 billion Stargate project. Well, these guys are, now, can they accomplish this goal? I don't know, but they'll come out and tell you their plan is to eliminate all jobs, like to make all human labor useless. That is their plan, to completely transform all of society. Sam talks about rewriting the social contract. He also talks about how, there's a good chance that it's just going to destroy the world, but at least there'll be some good companies in the meantime. I mean, this is their words, not to mention the way that stuff is already being deployed in its current form. Is it, for the greater benefit of humanity? I'm not going to say there aren't any beneficial purposes. I use ChatGPT and now DeepSeek, actually, just like all the rest of them. But one of the primary ways it's been deployed was in the battlefield in Gaza to mass murder civilians.
Lavender, right?
That's right. And 972 and DropSite got their hands on leaked documents that shows Microsoft, which is OpenAI, Sam Altman, that's their partner. Microsoft's biggest AI customer is the Israeli government. So this is what AI is being used for now, not to mention, algorithmically denying people healthcare, life-saving healthcare, not to mention Amazon using AI to fire people without a human even ever being involved or intervening whatsoever. So, of course we know that this type of tech, when developed and leveraged by the capitalist class, is not going to be developed to benefit humanity. It's going to be developed to line their pockets, and their goal is to make most of humanity irrelevant.
Right, and that piece about the labor piece of AI, it benefits these AI barons to say, oh, they're going to become greater than humans, and it's almost like a sci-fi movie. Now, the practically what it's going to be used for is to cut labor costs for some of these companies. And like when we're talking about how it's all about extraction at this certain point in late-stage capitalism, it really is about how we outsourced our manufacturing starting in like really the 70s in this neoliberal era. And so much of our economy in the 90s and on was concentrated in Silicon Valley and with these tech barons who they're up against the ceiling of the practical use that they can provide for people, right? Like Facebook and Instagram exist as utility, and they're not really getting many new signees, would be my guess. It's kind of at a saturation point. So what do you do when a whole major section of the economy, probably like the biggest industry that's concentrated in this country, is a lot of just hot air? all they have, then now it's AI, but it's really just about maintaining their market position. And they have found the perfect president to do that because he's just as corrupt as they are. But it's unsustainable because of the compounding effect also of the income and wealth inequality. This is just going to make it even worse at a rapid pace.
Yeah, I mean, we have so many like genuine civilization level crises, I feel like, coming to a head right now. There's the crisis you're talking about of this, fake extraction built economy. There's a political crisis under that too, which is effectively neoliberalism was about getting rid of any values and outsourcing them to the market. So if the market likes it, if it's good for the market, that's what our values are. And that's what leads to this current dystopian economic system that we have. Obviously, there's the climate crisis, which is becoming, increasingly unbearable. We're already at a point where, they just announced last year, once again, hottest year on record. Now we've crossed that 1.5 degree Celsius threshold. So those disasters are only going to be picking up steam. That, of course, fuels additional demands in terms of migration, which causes, fuels this reactionary political climate. And then you do have these, this mass inequality that has rendered democracy just, it's a silly word at this point. I really have come to the place where I feel like democracy and capitalism, they were not able to coexist, certainly not in the system that we have where it's no holds barred in terms of all money in politics and very, very few effectively meaningless limits. So that's part of what's so distressing in this moment is all of these pieces coming together. I sort of go back and forth about which one I'm most alarmed at the present.
Yeah, I want to get to that is how you're managing, like in the context of what we do, like sorting this stuff out on a daily basis, like which fire is actually the more pressing one or the more relevant one. You mentioned like the wealth disparity and the sort of like threats to democracy. Aside from, we just played a clip of Russell Vought saying we may not distribute the funds that the IRA calls for, which is really pretty fundamentally anti-democratic. I mean, there's a law that you're not supposed to ignore, but the level, and I know that we've been throwing the word oligarchy around for a long time. I mean, and that Gillen's study. For 15 years, people have been talking about, like, when wealthy people's interests come before Congress and there's controversy, their desires win out. But the nakedness and the sort of specificity of the oligarch that we seem to have almost overnight, like, maybe over the course of the past 16 months is incredible. I mean, when I'm having political conversations with people now, it's all about billionaires. Like it's not, what's the Speaker of the House doing? It's what's Musk doing versus Altman doing versus, Peter Thiel doing. Like, this is, it is a full-on naked thing. And the only difference is, and we keep saying this, is that, like, with Putin, he's got his cadre of oligarchs, except for if one of them steps out of line, they end up having, stepping into an elevator shaft and there's no elevator there, or their planes seem to fall from the sky. I don't think Trump has that ability. How does this end? Honestly, because, Democrats, maybe they'll get the message, maybe they won't, but they're like, well, we're going to forefront Mark Cuban, and he'll come in. And Mark Cuban was taking that role in the Harris campaign. Whether he had it or not, it's unclear, but he was certainly saying out there, like, nah, don't listen about the whole Lena Khan's gone.
And the rich Lena Khan, she's not really going to do that stuff.
I mean, it is... It's a problem.
Yeah, it's a problem. No, I mean, it is on a scale. Like, look, Democrats, I'm not letting them off the hook. They're complicit. They're the ones that also embraced this big money era, made it bipartisan, and made it very difficult for them to be able to criticize Trump's corruption, criticize the rise of this billionaire cadre in his myths. I mean, his first cabinet was the wealthiest cabinet in history, and this one dwarfs that by far, not to mention, you know, the lineup on the dais behind him as he's giving his speech. Like, this is his administration. It is a level of control and brazenness that we've never seen. We have not seen before in American history. You know, you could maybe go back to, like, you know, the days of J.P. Morgan when the federal government was much smaller. Maybe there's an analogy there, but we've never seen this before. And Elon Musk specifically, not only is he the richest man on the planet, not only does he control a major communications network.
Yep.
Not only is he himself a public figure with a following, this, you know, cult following, but he also is one of the largest federal government contractors, Pentagon contractors specifically, is in all kinds of legal and regulatory trouble with the government. I'm sure that's all, you know, imminently going away, including, you know, alleged SEC violations and labor violations and environmental violations. But now he's been given this whole of government mandate to do whatever he wants. And, you know, I know when Doge was first announced, people were like, oh, this is just some make work project. I've never really bought that, because to bring it back to Russ Vought, who's, you know, going to be once again at the Office of Management and Budget, which is like sort of, you know, nerdy budgeting agency, but actually very powerful and very important. He was, you know, behind Project 2025, and they spent the 4 years when they were out of power figuring out how they could maximize their use of power when they were back in government. Now, that looks like, of course, installing cronies across all agencies who are willing to follow even unlawful and unconstitutional orders. But it also looks like things that like what you were referring to, Sam, which is saying, you know, yes, Congress passed those funds, but we don't actually believe we have an obligation to spend them. We don't believe in, it's called, I think, the Impoundment Control Act of 1970 something. We don't believe that was constitutional. So that means even if you want to spend money on the Department of Education, Congress, we can cut it at will because we're under no obligation to do that. Oh, you may want to spend money on food stamps, but we don't want to. So, you know, we're just going to unilaterally slash that. Those are the sorts of powers that they are looking at exercising. So this is another way in which this Trump administration is different from the first one. They are much more organized, and they are much more focused on achieving radical, right-wing, libertarian, conservative goals in service of the oligarch cadre.
And I'll just add to that, they have 270 more judges than they did at the beginning of their administration last time, including the 6-3 Supreme Court. So their ability, the things that slowed their roll the first time, like you guys did not do the 60-day, you know, period or comment period, or you don't have the authority to do this. I mean, we've seen examples, particularly out of the Fifth Circuit, of judges just basically twisting themselves into pretzels because they know, I mean, they're now part of this sort of like a feudal system. The way that they will rise up and go from, you know, duke to prince or whatever it was back in the day is that they will, you know, start pumping out these decisions that will not inhibit the administration. And
they're auditioning for Trump.
Totally. Yeah. And so there are just less institutional breaks, and also even political ones, because when Musk out there, you know, and Musk and Trump are gonna have their arguments, but they're never gonna break up because their incentives are just too well aligned.
That's what I think.
This whole thing that Musk is gonna tire, or Trump is gonna tire of Musk and get rid of him, I think that's honestly like, that's JV
2016
Trump. Yeah, honestly, this time around, because Musk can literally deploy sums of money in these Senate or congressional races and maintain a discipline that we just have never seen in American politics.
It's why Joni Ernst is voting for Hegseth, right?
That's
because
right.
she's up in 2026.
That's
she's
right.
terrified of Musk.
And
yeah, and he doesn't even have to spend the money. Just the threat of the money
just
was
the
like
threat of it.
Very credible. Like he literally spent $250 million electing Trump. You think
And I think that's actually
millions to take
I
you
think
out?
that's a minimum. I think he probably spent more. We just don't know about it. But that's the 250 million that we know of. And there's also, you know, Harris had her like cadre of billionaires and millionaires, but there was a bunch of them. Like, there were 3 people who provided Trump with something like $500 million of his billion that was spent. That's pretty concentrated. That's literally like a casual sort of like intimate dinner that you can have with these people.
That's exactly right.
And all Miriam Adelson says is like the West Bank.
Right. And I guess